thank you so much for passing by the show today. I have the pleasure to speak on the mic to no other than Ricky from the Infernals, coming up from ETH up to the H. Much plan, much talk. Shout out to him. Enjoy. NFT, man, that's really great, man. Ricky, what's up? What's up? Thank you so much for passing by the show, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
I mean, I've seen you guys around like a lot of times, and what's how you been, man? How did you discover HEDERA and the whole thing? What's
yeah, so it's a long story. So I will try and summarize because it's it's had its ups and downs, as you can imagine. So the Infernals, as you know, as summarized as that make it, the Infernals was essentially a collection of 24 by 24 pixel art, which is Cowboy Apes themed. It was dropped around the kind of the Ethereum free mint meta, kind of when we went through that whole period of big collections dropping and then people kind of buying in and coming out, etc. So that was dropped a year ago on Thursday, coming up, so 5th of October 2022. And the artist, the team that brought it together, paid an artist who is a guy called MP Russell, who's did art for Llamaverse. He's got a Punks 2023 collection out at the minute as well. And what happened was basically they dropped it, and then they suddenly were just like, the community can kind of take over. The community can look after this collection and see where they take it. So when I joined, which was probably around late November time, maybe a bit mid-November, late November, there was a system, or kind of a hierarchy in that they had these things called sheriffs and marshals. So there was a couple of sheriffs hanging about, and there was a couple of marshals. The main sheriff that seemed to be running things was a chap called Ritter. Really good guy. He's doing some work with a Coinect, which is another marketplace platform. And now they had this great thing. So I'd kind of dipped into NFTs around April time in 2022, and was seeing whether or not I had any kind of transferable skills from where I came from. So I've worked in the charity sector for probably about 22 years, and did a lot of project management stuff. So I was just seeing whether or not any of them transferred over to Web3.
What lane have you worked for before, or are you working right now?
I used to work a lot in charities, so managing projects and things like that. So I'd done that for a long time, and I did want to kind of start doing a bit more work in Web3 and seeing how that kind of translated. They had a great thing at Infernals when I first joined, which was essentially if you owned 15 Infernals, you could become a deputy, which is a holder role in there, and that would give you access to behind the curtain, and you could apply to be part of the council. So I did that. That was really cool. And then shortly after I joined, there was a kind of a little bit of a shake-up, and then we ended up going down the route of having 3 core leaders. Well, 4 core leaders at first, actually, so they identified the roles that they needed as Twitter, Discord, Outreach, and Art and Law, based on the fact that at that time we were very comic-based. It was all around kind of the lore of the Infernals and the different kind of we'd released an NFT comic on Ethereum around that point as well. And so they were the roles that we came up with. So I applied for the Outreach leader role, which is kind of what I'm doing now. Jack Timothy, who you probably know from Cabula as well, he's in charge of kind of Twitter and social media. Got a guy called Chris.
So he's part of the team.
Yeah, he's part of the part of the core leadership team at Infernals, and was doing that slightly before Cabula, although Cabula is probably his focus because it's his paid work. We do all of this. We've taken one payment. Through the whole.
Okay, so you've joined the team like 1 month and a half after its creation, right? Last year.
Yeah.
And the outreach, what's the outreach? What's your like, say 9 to 5? What's your like job or description in the project?
So for the Infernals, it was a lot when it first started around kind of getting kind of whitelists for holders and running kind of raffles and all of that kind of stuff and reaching out to new projects.
Yeah.
Because kind of NFTs have taken the turn that it's taken a little bit. It's no one's really interested in whitelists anymore. Unless they are the really hyped ones, and you kind of need to be in them arenas to get them. So the role itself is kind of has changed a little bit in that I've got access to the Twitter, so I can reach out to new projects and try and come up with some collaboration opportunities and partnership operations. But what we've ended up doing is we had these 4 roles, and there's only me, Jack, and Chris, Crypto Kid left, who does the Discord. We're all just doing a bit of everything now, so we each dip in with Twitter. There's a lot of kind of, I guess, business focused stuff that I've kind of dealt with. So we've got a governance document which basically sets out the different governance that we have within Infernals, which is interesting because actually what it states in that document is that because this is a community driven project, anyone can challenge the leadership, so they can essentially put forward a motion to replace either me, Jack, or Chris.
Wow.
And if they
How
get
does that work?
We've got a voting system, so we've got 3 different kinds of voting. The first one is based on kind of emojis, just a similar a thing you'll normally find in Discords. The other one is more of we've got a politics channel, so people can talk about different things and discuss them, and then we'll have a vote within Discord. And then the more serious matters, sort of like a change of leadership, we have basically a snapshot, and this system allows it's delivered by someone else. It's a third-party system, but it allows the vote to be put up, the reasons for the vote, and obviously the answers for the vote that people could have. And based on the amount of Infernals you have, gives you a certain amount of votes for that. Or we do ones where each holder gets 1 vote. So regardless of how many you have, because that can skew the skew the numbers a little bit. So so we've got a full voting system in place.
Wow.
Yeah.
And wow, that's wild. How did you find the ecosystem so far? I've seen you on Spaces, I've seen you all around. How's it been so far for you?
For HEDERA, so we moved over to HEDERA. We started moving over to HEDERA a few months back. So that was a weird, I guess, kind of kismet thing that happened. Obviously, Jack has been very much involved with HEDERA for a long time now.
Yeah. Shout out to Jack.
Yeah, Jack, he's a great guy.
Yes.
And so we were toying with the idea of releasing a new collection, but releasing that new collection on Polygon. One of the reasons we were doing that because we didn't release the project, so there was a number of things that we didn't have. So we did, at the beginning when we first took over, we didn't have control of the Discord, we didn't have control of the Twitter, didn't have control of the art, and we didn't have control of the smart contract on Ethereum. And all them were things essentially that were stopping any progress that we may have. Since then, through a number of different things, mainly because of being able to contact and identify who the artist is for the Infernals, we've managed to get all of them things. So we now kind of hold all of the artwork and the layers and templates for the artwork, and each person that holds an Infernal, we've got a signed agreement from the artist that they have IP rights for the artwork they've got as well. So we were going to release a new collection on Polygon. I reached out to Polygon as the outreach lead a few times, tried to have a few conversations, know a few projects over there, but I wasn't really getting a very friendly vibe or a very welcoming and supporting vibe. And that's and in some cases that's fair because we are we've been around a while, considering the NFT space, but we're not a big name. We're not someone who's going to kind of draw attention from other people. We're not a D gods who's transitioning to Ethereum, for instance. We haven't got that hype. So I do get that, but we held a space where Jack invited some of the HEDERA projects like Dead Pixel Ghost Club, After Dark Social Club, Shroomies, Climateers, and the amazing thing was
awesome projects.
Brilliant projects.
Yeah, businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's it, that's one of the things we found. So we invited them to a Western Wednesday. So we run a Twitter space every Wednesday, which we've run now for, I think next week's our 40th week, actually. So
Wow.
we've been quite consistent with our communication. And we invited these projects, or Jack invited these projects to the Western Wednesdays, and they all showed up, gave great vibes and massive support. And then, we kind of took the decision, and this is the place where we want to be. We want to be where there's for me, for HEDERA, the biggest thing I find with it is a sense of maturity about the space.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Yeah.
it's not very degen. It's not very right. Okay, this is the move. Let's go there. Let's pull
Mm-hmm.
out. Let's go there and pull out. So yeah. So the transition, we've done 3 phases of people burning their Ethereum NFT, which we didn't think people would do. So they've been burning their Ethereum NFT, and we've developed a system. Chris and Jack mainly have developed a system where they'll remint that same NFT on HEDERA and airdrop it to them.
Wow.
Which has been really cool. So yeah, I mean, on the whole, I think HEDERA is just offers. There doesn't seem to be any kind of clique mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone
Yeah.
seems
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
be really.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. I think we're very mature in terms of mentality and reciprocity, meaning that, right now what we're doing, we don't know each other up, but I mean, that's the least we can do, right? When somebody's doing actually the work and coming in with something that's serious, that's concrete, and, that you see that, hey, this is real what you're doing. The least you can do is just welcome someone in. Welcome someone in with great values, great intention, and at the same time, value what they're doing and at least give it a lesson to what they have to offer, right? So yeah, in terms of maturity, this side of things, absolutely. Now, of course, on the liquidity side of things, we're not there yet for sure, 1,000%. So I think it's a long-term hold that not financial advice will be really interesting down the road, because I mean, just the cost of transaction, how secure it is with hashback and whatever, that's really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a real draw. I mean, kind of Chris, Crypto Kid, one of the other core leaders, he's very much on his tech, and looked into HEDERA and was just like, actually this could be kind of really cool. A lot of innovative things happening. There's a lot of buy-in from kind of outside people to use the to use the system, and that appeals to us as well. I mean, we're not too concerned about the short term. I'm sure our holders are essentially from the ETH side are not going to really like me saying that, but we're not too concerned about the short term. We've been talking over the last 6 months really about our 3 to 5 year plan, rather than kind of a 2 to 3 month plan, and there's just so much opportunity, and we don't really believe in roadmaps either. So we don't really believe in kind of setting out a goal. Not that we don't have goals, of course we do, but having something out there that goes, by this we're going to do this, and by this we're going to do this. I just think sometimes the thing that's stood us in good stead so far has been our ability to adapt and be flexible. If we didn't have that, we would probably be a dead project on Polygon right now.
Of course, because how can you that white paper thing, I think, will go down as that legacy 10K PFP where that this old way of seeing like a JPEG or whatever, that will go down the drain with it 1,000%. And I don't think for you guys or for anyone to be successful, you need a white paper now, because that was the old ways of doing things. Right now, people just have to know transparency, like you're doing right now, like to go on a show or on the spaces, or just clarity and a connection that you maintain with your core community. That's key, and that's what you're doing, man. So
yeah, and I think you've hit on a key word there for us, because transparency is something we we massively hold dear. Based on the fact that this is what we would want from projects that we've essentially given money to. I mean, we're so transparent. I mean, it's almost crazy. So we have our team meetings in general VC in our Discord. So anyone as a holder can join and just listen to us talking about plans and things that we're doing in the future. And I mean, that's for the other projects that I'm in, and I'm in multiple across Solana, Ethereum, and HEDERA now. I've never seen that before, but we are really committed. I mean, we've got our cameras on. We're all kind of, there's no kind of, we're out there essentially as, from England. Jack is Jack from Italy or Spain or wherever he is this week. And then there's Chris, from over North Carolina in America. So yeah, cool. I mean, it's really, I think it's really good to be like that, because then people can, get to know who you are and build up that trust.
Yeah.
And that's our goal on HEDERA, building trust with the HEDERA community, because they don't know who we are. So
yeah, building trust. That's and being able to be relatable also. And that's why, I mean, people want to connect through that way, especially right now, especially now that it seems boring, but it's not. Like, it's not at all. It's just that, secondary and attention is not there at all. But, down the road, people still want to be able to touch, feel, and, know what's up with Infernals, and by saying this, say if I want to go out there and buy mint support, how does it work? Can I go on secondary and buy it? Is there any mints that's coming up, or?
So the things we've got, the things we've got coming up, and this is why I wanted to check when this was going out, because we're not announcing this until our anniversary Twitter space this week.
Ooh, exciting.
So you're one of the first people to hear this news. So because it's our anniversary, and because we've kind of went through this kind of full circle thing with moving from Ethereum to HEDERA, we are on, just to answer the first question, by the way, we are on OpenSea when it comes to the Ethereum NFTs that we've got left. And also we're on Zeus and Centex and stuff, on HEDERA side. But we are...
Shout out to Centex.
Yeah. So we are, we're planning a trait upgrade. So because Chris has been working on a number of different artworks, and someone used artwork from the original files, actually. So what we found, and this is me being completely honest about our collection, and this is probably down to the intention when the collection was dropped. And this is just my opinion, by the way. This isn't the opinion of Infernals. I believe the collection was essentially intended to be a pump and dump. Something that took advantage of the free mint meta, was never meant to have any kind of, longevity. It was something that would create a little bit of hype, and it did. We've got almost 500 ETH in transactions on OpenSea.
Wow.
That's
a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's incredible, So in them early days, I think, there was a lot of that around, and, that, I would say probably there was the first 6 months, maybe even 3 to 5 months, was the bulk of them transactions. So I believe that was his intention. Me, Jack, and Chris are made of stronger, sterner stuff, and really driven to make it, the opposite of that. We want it to be a brand that delivers in the future. So for our first year, we wanted to make a big deal of it, and we've got a lot of, because it's been a bit of a mismatch of a 5,000 collection, which is a huge collection. There is a lot of Infernals in there which are a bit boring. So I'm not sure you'll get many people in here saying that their artwork is boring, but for us, there's a lot of them
understand.
But that was, let's get a 5,000 collection out. So you've got, if you were to put them in tiers, which they're not, but common, uncommon, rare, legendary, etc., we'd probably have about 3,500 common, and that's too much. So what we wanted to do was give people the opportunity that have crossed with us from Ethereum, the opportunity to have a trait upgrade. So we've got things, you may have seen my PFP on my Twitter, non-fungible.
I did. It slaps. Yeah.
So that wizard, I mean, I love that wizard. It'll be forever my PFP. So we've got wizards, we've got cowls, we've got red mega mohawks, we've got zombies, and all of these kind of cool, hard hitting artwork. And then you've got the boring one. So we're giving people the opportunity to upgrade, depending on how many they hold overall on Ethereum and HEDERA. We're giving the opportunity for them to upgrade one of their Infernal PFPs. So if they've ever wanted a wizard, if they hold enough Infernals on both chains, they can have a wizard. And there's only 10 of them in the whole collection, so if you haven't got one, it's very difficult to get one because the people who've got them, you know, tend to keep them. Like a guy who's a CryptoPunk called Art Karoon, he has a wizard, which is pretty cool.
Badass.
Yeah, and we've got other traits as well that are unreleased traits. You know, things like crowns, and we've got kind of, you know, proper Spartan helmets and things like that. You know, all of which the crown has never been used. There's laser eyes which might make it into the collection, but we don't want to go too wild with it. So yeah, I mean the final details of what traits are going to be available for what holder are not yet, as we sit here, and not yet finalized, but there will be before the Twitter space. But yeah, that's what we're doing for our celebration, our 1 year anniversary. We're gonna give people the opportunity to upgrade their Infernal PFP.
Well, what's your especially in this market right now, what's your, I will not say the word motivation. I'm trying to use it less and less because, you know, I see it. I've been back to training like 2 months ago, and I made some, you know, analogy towards it. Like, what's the fire that just keeps on, Rick? Like the thing that, you know, you wake up, because of course you got a fiat hustle, what I call it, you know, like you got your job to provide, you know, and you know, pay rents, dues, whatever. And then there's this thing that we're in that's slowly, for sure, the more that you're in, the more that it's taking more place towards, you know, the work. And you're like, wow. So balance, of course, is key. What keeps you going and hustling, especially right now? I think it's later for you than what it is for me. Like doing this, why, especially since you explain it to your friends who do not understand it 1,000% if they're not here, your family, what keeps on, what's the fire that burns?
So it's an interesting question, Phil, because actually the other day when Jack came back from his retreat, he was very reflective, as you can imagine, coming back from a retreat, and we were speaking about, you know, why we're still here, you know, kind of me, Chris and Jack have, you know, worked really hard, you know, for the last 7 months, a lot of it, you know, kind of voluntary, and he asked the question, you know, what kind of why we're still here, and you know, a lot of, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to speak for Chris and Jack, but for me, it was there's a real fire inside me for the Infernals, which is quite apt, and I didn't mean that, but there we go. Yeah, and it's really about kind of, you know, we're not meant to be here. You know, on this a year this week, the Infernals was supposed to be another one of them projects that went to zero, and I think proven a lot of people wrong. You know, even ex-holders. You know, a lot of holders who've checked out and, you know, dumped the floor and you know, had hundreds one time and then were like, right, I'm getting out. You know. We've dealt with that numerous times. We've dealt with Discord hacks. You know, we've dealt with you know, OpenSea switching off the royalties and therefore any income that we would ever have had on Ethereum. You know, there's a number of things that we've overcome, and I think when you've done that, where, you know, when you've kind of fought through them things as a team, and me and Jack and Chris have found friends for life there. When you've done that, I think there just tends to be a just something in you that is driving you to kind of make this good. And I have a complete belief that, you know, as a trio, me, Jack, and Chris can do great things and will do great things, and that's easy for me to say because I've got belief in myself. I've got, you know, belief in a lot of, you know, kind of a lot of belief in Jack and Chris, so I know where we're coming from and I know what we're doing. I think the problem we have, or the obstacle that we need to overcome, essentially, is getting other people to believe that. And one of the things in this space, I think, is if we're not offering a you know, kind of a fully fledged game going to market in a year's time, or we're not offering a you know, kind of merch,
use case,
you know, all of these kind of rev shares and all of these kind of stuff, which are all really important, and every project that's doing that well, and we've got a few of them here, Earthlings, you know, kind of Shroomies with their lending platform, etc., all doing incredible work. But that's
Legends of the Past too. I don't know.
Yeah, Legends of the Past who just minted out. Yeah. So there's a place for that, but we're not that. We are at a place where, you know, we think that we've got good art. we are planning in the future to have a mint of a different collection, one that we create ourselves rather than the one that we inherited, but will be Infernals themed. And past that, you know, we tell our story through lore. So everything we've done from beginning to end, especially with the migration over HEDERA, has all been lore based. So we had a story about Jack the Explorer, who was the first person to go over there.
Oh, that's a great spin.
Yeah, so Jack the Explorer was the first person, was the first Ethereum NFT to be burned, which was actually owned by Jack Timothy, while we were testing things out. And he burned this Ethereum, and then it was reminted on HEDERA and airdropped to him, and that was the first ever one. So we spun that into the lore, and then we had a first phase, which essentially was entitled The Rescuers. So we offered the opportunity to some of our holders on Ethereum to essentially burn one of their NFTs and go on a rescue mission to see where Jack is,
that's cool.
how he is. And they went over there, and each one that was reminted on HEDERA got given the rescuer trait, which is only 26 of in the whole collection now. And then we had the Explorers, which was my wizard. So Marcel basically helped another character, which was made by one of our holders, Ada, and also Moon God, which was one of the Cowls, which is another one of our holders, Brian. They've got a bunch of explorers essentially to go over to, you know, essentially see where the rescuers were, because Marcel had used his wizardry to sense that the feeling was good. However, he couldn't see where they were, so they went over there. And then finally we were now at phase 3, which was the builders, and that was a case of Jack had sent a message back to everyone to say, HEDERA is amazing, you all need to come here. However, we need people to come over and build our houses, build our saloons.
Like the promised land. Yeah.
It's cool. So we needed our place there. And one of the cool things about this anniversary as well, and again, this hasn't been announced yet and won't be till the space later on, but this is after that, as Jack the Explorer, Jack Timothy being Jack Timothy, decided in the ethos of the Infernals that it would be unfair for him to have a one-of-one Infernal NFT that he didn't purchase himself. And because Jack the Explorer is a trait that only Jack the Explorer has, he decided that he would raffle that off to the community. So we had a guy called Leroy who was a HEDERA maxi actually and bought into the Infernals. He actually won it. And what he doesn't know yet is that in this trait upgrade, in this anniversary, Jack the Explorer is going to get a 30-minute consultation with the artist to pick whatever traits he wants to upgrade his NFT, which is a nice little side hustle thing.
It is.
Yeah.
Cool. I think that no matter what you guys do and will do, the core most important part all time is it's cheesy, I know, but it will be community. No matter what you do, and you've spoken about great teams, like shout out to Earthlings and Legend of the Past, and there's so many, but at the very core are, you know, that's 50, 25 or 10 people that truly are believers, and they represent and they preach a good preach when, you know, you guys are sleeping or when I'm not there. It's a whole entire circle of layers that people are saying and preaching over socials, Discord, and whatever, because they believe in. And that's what makes a successful project, in my opinion. Even if you guys decide to remain a PFP collection, like, you don't have to have a use case, in my opinion. You just need something that people attach to it, and meaning, a why, and, you know, great vibes, and why am I going? And especially if you have that connection that, you know, oh, this is Rick, that's cool, I know him, you know, that changes everything. Because after that, you mint, not only just to mint, you mint, you know, because that's what I always say, support the people that's behind the project. So yeah, if you manage, and I think you're on the right way to get into that special spot where this is your core community, it might be 5, it might be 100 people. Those are your core, and you know that when attention is going to come back up in a year, the halvening, whatever it comes back in.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, and I think you're absolutely right, Phil. I mean, I think the community is something that they've been through a lot. You know, as I say, what comes with that intention of the project is a lot of hype and a lot of people believing this is going to be the next CryptoPunks or Bored Ape. It being completely honest and transparent, both me and Jack and Chris have all said that our first intention when we joined the project, because of the mentality at the time, was to buy in Infernals and flip. And don't get me wrong. Kind of, I'm not against flipping. I'm not against people trading and making money and
part of the
kind
game.
of managing the market. Yeah, you need everyone in this space for it to be fruitful. And if there isn't flippers, then there isn't an economy happening. So I'm not against them, but I think what being through that and being part of a project where you've bought something because you thought that it was going to make money and then it not making money, it becomes a real difficulty to turn that mentality around in people sometimes.
Yeah.
So we've got 1,600 holders across Ethereum, or probably under that now, probably about 1,300. And I'd probably say 95% of them don't really engage with the Infernals at all, because they're sitting in their wallet or they're looking at their Floor app or whatever app they're using to monitor the markets. And they're waiting for that to go green with a shoot up before they can kind of make some money. So changing their mentality, or letting them know that Infernals it is going to be here for the long haul, and that actually it's in their best interest to invest in their investment, both from a time perspective and a high perspective, is our challenge right now. And but alongside that, our main focus right now is building, and that's why our phase 3 was the building phase. We meant that from a law perspective and people coming and building railroads and saloons, etc. But actually what we really meant by that is this is a time for us to get our heads down, learn about the HEDERA system, learn about the projects, engage, communicate with them, and ultimately, like I mentioned earlier, build the trust of people in this space so that they feel that Infernals is something that they want to be involved with. And yeah, we, right now we're not offering an end goal. We're not saying, this is going to be a project which is going to give you this, or you're going to do this. But what I will say is that what Infernals does have is endless possibilities. We run the show, kind of we are very creative, and I think more than anything, the community that we have got, the core community that we've got, are probably the most creative people I've met. The law team are 2 holders, and Chris, who's a lead, who's a core lead. But we have 2 people in our law team essentially, who are putting out this law and writing this law. And one of them's having a Lady Valor, and the other one's Tiny Universe. Lady Valor's having her first comic published, as we speak, essentially. Wow. And to have them on board as one, supporters of the project that we're doing, but also contributors to what it is that we're doing is massive. And if we can get more people who are willing to represent on Twitter, kind of help out in Discord and help out with outreach, which we've just had an application process for, because we wanted to expand the team, but we didn't get many replies, which is really disheartening. If we can get people to step up and invest in us, from a time perspective, not just a financial perspective, then I do think the sky's the limit for the Infernals. But it's going to take a group effort and the continued drive of me, Chris, and Jack.
Best of success to you guys. I think you're on the right path, man. I think you are. Shout out to you. Shout out to, is it Chris and Jack? Am I missing someone? You guys have 4?
No, we did have 4. We did have a guy called Lewis Dawley who stepped down after about a month.
Okay. Well, shout out to him too, man. Even if he decided to have his own path, man, shout out to him too. But I think you're on the proper path, man. It just takes time.
Of course.
Especially in the new ecosystem.
Yeah. We've got time. We as I say, the good thing about not having a goal is a goal can come up at any time. We can. What we do like to do is support the endeavors of our community members. So we've had people set up poker tournaments, weekly poker tournaments, and games nights and stuff. And if someone comes with a good idea, we've got a community chest there. We've got some money there to kind of back people if they need financial backing. And we're ready to go with that kind of stuff. So it's cool.
You got this, man. You got this. This is the perfect time to slay, because again, like what we're saying, attention is not exactly there, but again, anything's going to come back up in terms of attention. So we got this, you got this, and best of success. If you need anything, see it on air and off air. If you need anything, I'm going to be there. And man,
Appreciate it, man.
let's let's go. Thank you for passing by the show. I appreciate it. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you very much, Phil.
It's a pleasure.
Ricky, thank you so much for your presence today on the show. I enjoyed my time. I think you are on the right path. This is never an easy one, especially right now that attention is not quite there. But what other ways and other days and other moments to just craft, hone, and just go at it. You got this. Hey, Barbarians, I will see you on the next show.